Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am one of your hosts for today, Kodey Stoffer.
And I'm your other co-host, Simon Villanos, a.k.a. Coach V.
And we are in the trenches here, talking about interior offensive linemen. So we grouped guards and centers together alike, and this list is based on where they played the majority of their snaps, at least this past season, and what we could see. You know, obviously, the line can blur a little bit at line, and, guys will play different parts of the line, which we'll talk about here. But, we decided to focus on centers and guards in particular here for our IOL list. This is top 5 seniors of the 2023 class, and, there were some pretty solid dudes here in the state this past year, and, we watched through this. We've seen these guys live. We've watched through game film as well as their huddle highlights as well, and have 10 categories to score them on. So these categories are versatility, how well can they play, especially for guards. Do you think a guard could also play center, maybe like intellectually or positionally, or can they snap? And, can these guards or centers also be kicked out to tackle in case of emergency? Are they serviceable? Would it be a nightmare? And, how well can they switch between those positions here? I think it's even more important for guard. Can you be a right guard that can go left and still handle pulling in different directions across the formation and whatnot in those situations and maneuver it well? And, do you have the smarts as well to be able to do those other things? Hand fighting, this is just a classic lineman evaluation here for, especially in this pass rush heavy era of football that we're in. With the pass increase, the pass rush increase has been more emphasized. So how well can you battle it out with your hands? Then we have pass pro in general. How well are they able to hold their ground? Are they keeping their head on a swivel? Are they able to pick up, delayed blitzes? And, what does their technique look like? Do they do a good job holding their ground? Can they slide with defenders that are trying to make moves? How well do they combat all those things? Are they balanced? Pull blocking, I slightly referenced this earlier, but, can they not only pull across the formation for, basic inside power plays, which is a pretty common thing for guards, but you also look at centers. What is their capability of being able to pull? Can these guys pull to the outside on toss plays and also identify the correct defender and block that defender as well? How well can they maneuver? If there's a blitz that pushes one of their linemen backwards, can they get around that and still get their block? Can they still get to their place in time? Obviously, you have, stuff like trap pulls as well that we're taking a look at. Can they pull across formation within the same side? Things like that. Combo blocking, obviously, this is how well can they go from a double team to that next level? How many blocks can they string together? Do they identify the right guy to double? Do they stay on that guy for the correct amount of time before sliding or before their teammate slides? And I guess this is not only a test of, identification, as well as just how strong they are blocking and getting that first block taken care of before going and chaining it with another block. But on top of that, do they communicate very well to handle combo blocks effectively? Awareness. Now, this is obviously a bit more broad, but what's going on between those ears? What's going on between the helmet here? Are they able to identify, in general, blitzes, stunts, delayed blitzes? Are they, every lineman at some point, I would say, probably gets a little bit of jersey, but are they doing something goofy like grabbing a jersey on third and short that risks a penalty, or do they get their hands on players' backs, or are they a bit more aware of things like that and avoid it? Footwork, obviously, this is a very intense kind of, evaluation here where, not only it starts with their stance, I guess, is a good place to start. Is it too wide? Is it too narrow? How fast can they get out of their stance footwork wise? And then do they continuously drive their feet when they're blocking? Do they keep them chopping? How happy are their feet? How active are their feet? And then can they move their feet effectively? Can they keep a consistent base that doesn't get too narrow or too wide and makes them easy to beat? Agility. Agility's agility. How well, especially do they move in space and get across the face of a defender and make sure that, they get where they're supposed to be on time, especially because we don't have like an exclusive quote unquote speed category. You could kind of look at agility in that sense as well. Just how well do they move in space? Can they maneuver the field properly across multiple facets of blocking? Strength, look, these are the big guys up front. These are, as some of my former coaches used to say, these are the big uglies. But that's, endearingly here. And can they get nasty? Can they push, a sled? Can they push another human being that is also, heavier out of the way and get these pancakes? And, just how strong is one arm if they hold someone off? If they're disadvantaged in maybe a technique facet, how much will their strength bridge that gap? And then size. Look, we don't have size and frame on all of our things. We've started to add it quite a bit to a handful of things. But I think especially on the offensive line, there's just, you don't want to throw a 200-pound guard into a Division I setting. They will get smoked. Okay, so, that is important. And so that all added up will give us one final score. That's 10 categories scored on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 3 being needing improvement, 4 to 6 being average, 7 to 8 being above average to good, 2 to 3 star kind of looks. 8 to 9 is good to great. That's 3 to 4 star kind of looks. And 9 to 10 is very good to elite. This is a 4 or 5 star talent we are looking at. And so we add all these up out of 100, and then we take my score as well as Coach V's score, and then that produces our PMC grade, which is an average of the two scores here. We had, some honorable mentions for sure from all over the state, north to south. And, I think that we've put together quite a list here of some very accomplished linemen. And, yeah, I'm just very excited to chat about these guys, give them tips and pointers on how to improve and get better, as well as celebrate the things that they did well and celebrate, where their future could be heading. Coach V, what else do you have to add on before we talk about this very first guy here? I know I've kind of been rambling on explaining the background here.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of linemen we looked at here. A lot of these guys here happen to come from very good programs around the state. I might add, I'm just going to throw that out there, like programs who have consistently been contenders for the last couple years, and a lot of that is because of these guys. So just want to shout out those programs here. And we are recording this January 31st, 2023, so it's one day before signing day, which is tomorrow, which is when we're going to know where a lot of these, I'd probably say the majority of these guys are going to go and commit and sign. I know two of these guys have been committed for a minute now, and you'll know who they are because we'll talk about it then. But some of these guys have not committed, plus, I don't know what the offer situation is like with some of these dudes as of right now, and I'm sure that'll become more clear tomorrow and after that as well. So I just want to put that out there. It's January 31st, 2023 when we are recording this. So yeah. But no, I don't really have anything else to add on here, Cody. You could go ahead and talk about it, the fifth best interior offensive lineman here in the state of Colorado in this class.
Yeah, that's a great point. That these are very decorated programs for all five of these dudes. And this very first one is not an exception here. That is Jackson Clancy out of Erie High School. We're talking about the 2021 4A state runner-ups, and we're talking a 2022 4A semifinalist round appearance here. And, some people even called the Broomfield Erie game the actual championship, as far as just a very competitive game there. And, that's just word on the street. But anyways, back to Jackson Clancy here out of Erie. This guy, let's just go ahead and talk about the numbers straight up here. So versatility, I have a 5.6. Hand fighting, I have a 7.9. Pass pro, I have 8.9. Pole blocking, 8.2. Combo blocking, 8.6. Awareness, 7.1. Footwork, 7.7. Agility, 6.6. Strength, 7.8. Size, 8.2 for an overall score of 76.6 here. This 6'3", 265-pound guard out of Erie High School does some things very well. And, upon, further assessment, this is probably one of the guys that I've watched the most on this list, especially live, as far as getting to watch the Erie Broomfield regular season game this year, the Erie Ponderosa playoff game this year. Wow, they played a lot of the same teams twice. But getting to watch those 2 games live, as well as watching the state championship last year, if and when rotating in, and, getting some snaps in his junior year as well. He has contributed to this Tiger squad. And then, watching streams of their games against the likes of last year in Palmer Ridge, and, this year watching, streams and highlights of the Air Academy game and whatnot for our playoff coverage. I've seen quite a bit of Jackson Clancy here. And then the Ponderosa game in the playoffs, I have watched in person and rewatched the film of as well. And I think that, there's some very decent takeaways here. Look, his pass pro is his strongest category for me here at an 8.9. He's knocking on that 4-star door. And I think that the thing that serves him best, the best trait, is his patience in the pass game. He doesn't get too jittery looking for somebody to block. He'll help out his teammates if they need it. I think he does a good job of helping out the teammates that do need it. And I think that, he's just a very steady, consistent pass blocker. He, controls the defender's center line very, very well and just maneuvers them. And, I think that his footwork is probably most active in the pass game. I think that his footwork stays choppy. I think it stays pretty consistent. And I think his base stays pretty solid as well. So I think that, his pass pro, especially, for a quarterback, for a team with a quarterback that extends plays so much, I think that he did a good job of, protecting for very long periods of time and maneuvering around the field and keeping up, or trying to keep up with this quarterback that was so good at buying a ton of time here. But talking about some other things that he does well, combo blocking, I have rated at his second highest, 8.6. I think that he does a very good job of sliding off of whoever he's double teaming and going to the next level at the correct or the appropriate time. But I think that, his ability to double team, no matter who it was with, whether it was the center or the left or right tackles, I think that he did a fantastic job. Or if he pulled, occasionally getting a double team with a tight end or with the other guard or whatnot, depending on the situation or the design, I think that he does a good job of, if he's double teaming someone, they're probably going to end up on the ground. That is a pretty consistent result regardless of size or skill of the opposing player. So I think that he just does a good job of knowing where his hands have to be on a combo and being able to finish those blocks in the set of a combo here. Then, 2 categories here are tied at an 8.2. That's his pull blocking and his size. I mean, he is probably a little bit too light, but I do like his height at 6'3", and I think that he does manipulate things very well. But, talking about his pull blocking, he's a guard. That's what he does. He mainly pull blocks for interior run designs. There are a couple instances of him pulling outside on, sweeps, tosses, or stretches. And I think that he does a solid enough job there, but I definitely like him a lot more on the inside with those very quick pull blocks where, it's like a power play. And I think that he just gets across very quickly. His first step in that pull block, I think, is very fast and efficient, and he pops out of his stance very, very well. So now, as far as some things, hand fighting, I think that's also up there. I have that at a 7.9. So I think that his hand fighting is solid. I think that he does just enough to hand fight with some of these groups on 4A. There are times where I think that another bonus, and Coach V and I were talking about this before the show, is he does have probably a little bit longer of a reach than his height might imply. So I think that he uses that to his advantage very well when it comes to hand fighting. Now, talking about some things that aren't necessarily weaknesses, but things that he could maybe focus on as, he goes to the next level. I think that his footwork and his strength, 7.7 and 7.8, those are both, graded at 2-star quality. I think that there's room to grow with both of these, but, there are plays where he does hold his ground very well, or even get a push on somebody of equal or bigger size. So that did impress me strength-wise for the most part. And then footwork here, this was highly benefited by his pass pro footwork that I think is a little bit more refined, whereas his run blocking footwork, improvement-wise, I think that, his base gets way, way too narrow. And I think that makes him vulnerable against smarter defenders, especially linebackers if he gets to the second level and his base ends up too narrow. I think that some linebackers would make him pay for that on the next level of football. So that's why it's at a 7-7, because I think that pass pro-wise, his footwork is solid, but I think in the run game, he has a lot to do here. Now, as far as things that I really think he could focus on here, and these are kind of tied together a little bit, is his awareness is at a 7.1. Now, this did get some bonus points watching through the Ponderosa film a little bit here. I think that he does identify who he needs to block very, very well in the pass game, but I think his situational awareness and, just his knowledge, like that sixth sense, if you would, both could use a lot of work. I think that, there are times where he is definitely blocking someone in the back at a very bad time. And it's like, you need to get your hands off there. You can't be risking that. And yeah, I think that there's also guys that watching through his film, that he blocks into the play. Like it's a design dive and he kind of pushes them toward, he pushes them downfield and then he twists to the right. And, if he's at left guard, he's pushing that right into a dive. And, that's also on the running back to be able to make that read. But there's definitely times where he blocks guys into the play. Not a very good look awareness-wise. I think that, he can also be a little late to see another defender when he is blocking downfield. And I put that more into the awareness here. So, and then, sorry, to bounce back to footwork just real quick here. There are also times in the run game where he's not chugging his feet. He's not pistoning his feet, and that I feel like that's definitely an easy fix, but it is something that he needs to work on. Is if your feet get flat, they're gonna kill you on the next level if your feet get flat. So you got to keep them moving at all times, which he does in the pass game, not as much in the run game. So now, talking about something else here, agility. Now, I watched this film again and again and again, and agility is going to be an area of improvement for a few of these guys here, naturally at, 260 plus pounds for any of these guys. But I just think that speed-wise, he doesn't get to where he needs to be all the time, and or he takes bad angles, or he just can't move, as well laterally if he's forced into that position. I don't think that his hips are as loose as they need to be to kind of keep his head on a swivel, especially, if he's downfield blocking or if he's pull blocking. I think that his agility holds him back significantly from those categories potentially being 9s because, assignment-wise, he does a really good job of doing those things, but performance and technique-wise and just speed of accomplishment-wise, I think that they need a lot of work here. So, and especially beyond the first level, I think his agility holds him back to being able to get some blocks that he doesn't necessarily get. And then last but not least, his versatility. I have this graded out of 5.6, and I think that this is a direct reflection of his agility and his awareness. Look, I don't want to put a guy that doesn't always ID the right guy, or, an unaware guy is not a good center. That's kind of where I'm coming from. And then I think agility-wise, he's just not athletic enough if I needed to slide him out to tackle to feel great about it. And so I think that's where this versatility score comes from, and where it struggles most is just not having the, mental aptitude or the athletic aptitude to be able to play most positions on the line. I unfortunately think at this moment in time he's stuck at guard. But, I think that there's definitely room to grow mentally, athletically, and strength-wise, which is like, well, how does he get here? Well, he gets here by being a really good pass blocker, and passing is what matters, all right? And, he technique and assignment-wise, he does his job when he's asked to do his job, right? He's consistently doing well at combo blockings. He can pull and get to his guy in that sense there due to a nice first step. And in pass pro, he never bites off more than he can chew. He doesn't get too aggressive in the pass game and, doesn't commit like silly penalties as much in the pass game as he does or will in the run game here. So, just watching it. And yeah, I think that he could just be a little bit more, just stronger and faster is my biggest notes for Jackson Clancy here. Now, Coach V, we kind of went back and forth on this between the show. So this is probably the most different grading of a prospect that we have. But I'll say that once a year, you and I, at least through this series, I should say, we see pretty different on a prospect. But at the end of the day, I mean, Jackson Clancy is still on this top 5 list for a reason, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Let me just talk about my grades, and then we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But at versatility, gave him an 8.3, hand fighting 8.8, pass protection 8.7, pole blocking 8.3, combo blocking is an 8.1. Awareness, I gave him an 8.9 there, one of his higher grades. Footwork 9, agility 8.4, strength 8.3, size 7.7, for a grade of 84.5. Out of the top 5 here, he was actually my 4th best interior lineman, just barely, almost tying with the 3rd best here. And you'll just keep listening to the episode and you'll see what I mean here. But I mean, let me talk about his highest grades here. 9 for footwork. He doesn't have clunky feet at all. He moves well, especially in pass pro. Really like that. Hand fighting, gave him an 8.8. When I grade hand fighting, I'm kind of looking at leverage too. Like, does he get good leverage in pass pro? But specifically, a lot of it is in the run game as well. Like, can he manhandle a dude, get his hands on somebody and really control them from that aspect? I think that's different from strength, being able to just get leverage consistently and do that. I think, honestly, that kind of disguises some strength issues, if any, sometimes, and so I try to differentiate that. And then awareness, I actually gave him an 8.9. Look, here's kind of where I'm coming from. In pass pro, I mean, he's not easily fooled. Like, if you run a stunt or a blitz, like, he's not somebody that's just not gonna know, oh, shoot, this guy's like, he knows how many players they're bringing, who he needs to block, who he needs to strategically block to go ahead and pick up the blitz. He does a really good job at that. For, honestly, a lot of his career, he's provided Blake Barnett with a pretty clean pocket. And he's went up against some pretty good D tackles, defensive linemen on this 4A level too. And so I'm not super mad at that. When I'm looking at awareness, a lot of my grades come like, all right, can he recognize plays? Can he recognize what the defense is trying to do to him, where they're trying to put him in? So, in my opinion, he does a really good job countering that. When you're run blocking and it's pretty designed. Like, you got to go block a dude, to go ahead and spring running back loose, open up a gap, have a defense shift a certain way, react a certain way. It's pretty scripted for the most part. Now, moving on to the next level, obviously you can't block dudes in the back. You gotta know when to let go and when not to hold and all that stuff. I think that's pretty easily coached, and that's why he doesn't have a 9 with awareness. He was a little sloppy in some of those aspects, but not enough for me to be really down on him. I think he understands what's going on, to be honest with you. Now, looking at his lowest grades, gave him a 7.7 for size, 8.1 for combo blocking, and I do want to mention his strength here at an 8.3, which feels a little generous, to be honest with you. Look, I think his strength is the source of most of his problems, his issues here. Now, at 6'3", 265, he's definitely on the lighter side. In my opinion, if you want to be a D1, like interior offensive lineman, I feel like 280, that's kind of got to be where you're at, once you graduate and whatnot and moving forward. And even then, on the D1 level, there's not a lot of interior offensive linemen that I feel like, teams comfortably play at that 280-ish range. They want them to be on the heavier side because obviously you're going to lose weight and shed weight and all that stuff. And so playing weight-wise, you want, at the bare minimum, 280. But realistically, you got to be a little bit heavier than that. Ideally, I would say the 290 to 300 range is pretty solid, I would say. And so for him to be here at 265, and this is like the listed weight we found at the end of his senior year, that is really, really light. There might have even been some potential here for him to be playing at a little bit lower of a weight as well at 260. Probably not below that, I would say. But, that does matter. And it does show on film here. I mean, when I'm watching him play, he knows where he needs to go when he's blocking and whatnot. He doesn't have some obvious blunders and whatnot. Most of the things I'm looking at, it's like, all right, well, he does his job. I would love to see him do a little bit more, but obviously you're working with what you got athletically. And athletically, I think he could be a bit stronger here. Size and be a bit heavier as well. That's why his size is the smallest grade or the lowest grade at a 7.7. He needs to put on weight. He needs to get up to that range. He needs to get stronger. His strength, I gave him an 8.3. Like I said, pretty generous, but also I gotta give him credit. He does have pretty good hands here that allow him to disguise some of those issues. But, when I'm watching him run block and he's not finishing off blocks, or he is, but he's taking like way too long to do that. Like, yo, I need you to blast this dude, especially if it's anybody but a defensive lineman. That guy needs to be in the ground, sooner than later, sooner than what he has been doing. And then you got to move on to the next guy, and keep it going and whatnot. I think it's not an awareness issue where, he's not moving on to the next level, or he's not super aware. He's blocking guys, or he's blocking players into backs. I think that's a strength issue because he just can't handle some of those guys from a pure power perspective. And they get a little bit away, and he's using leverage, and you kind of gotta be a little bit more strategic with that when you are just relying a lot on leverage, which isn't a bad thing. I'd rather have a guy that knows how to use leverage, and then you could kind of condition him and get him stronger over time. But I think a lot of it is a strength issue. He's not strong enough to finish off some of these blocks faster than some of the other guys on this list and then move on to the next level. Or at the initial point of attack, he's not as aggressive as I'd like for him to be, and so just all together, I think if he got stronger, he would definitely go up this list for sure. And, he'd be a lineman that I feel like a lot of coaches around the country would be more comfortable playing here. Because look, I'm looking at him at 265. If we're talking D1, there are defensive ends and linebackers that are at 260, 265, and so if they're at 265, then what do you think defensive tackles and edge rushers are at? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be a little bit better there. And so for all those reasons is why, he is kind of here, 5th/4th. I mean, 4th for me, and so that's kind of what I see it. And his versatility kind of hurts because of that. I don't think intellectually he can't play the other positions because he's not smart enough. I think physically he needs to get up there for him to really honestly, for him to play at all on the interior line. Like, if you play tackle, he could do it, but he is a little bit shorter for a tackle. He does have a pretty good wingspan, in my opinion, and so that's definitely a plus that helps him out. But still, altogether, he still needs to get stronger, and I think that's kind of the root of a lot of his issues here. I mean, you work with what you got as an athlete, right? You can't just automatically add plus 20 strength and plus 20 pounds. That's not how it works. This isn't Madden or 2K or a video game. This is real life. You can either maintain the weight or you can't. And for some people, it takes a little bit more time, and that's okay. I like the frame still here at 6'3", 265, but I think this is definitely a frame that he needs to grow into, because there's a lot of things he does where I'm like, yeah, that's D1 FCS-ish level. But, because of some of the, just where he's at, I guess, athletically, like I said, mostly strength and power-wise, I think he falls probably to more of a D2 type of guy. Maybe FCS, he could push that here. but he definitely needs to get stronger. So that's kind of where I'm at when looking at Jackson Clancy. I mean, I think he's a kid who's pretty smart. He's very aware. He does his job well. In pass pro, he's not fooled. He's not like missing blitzes, because that's what drives me crazy. I've seen plenty of linemen who, you could tell that it's about to be a linebacker blitz, and then they just let the linebacker loose. And then he goes ahead and he lays out the running back or quarterback or whatever. Like, he does a good job at redirecting, at doing his job out there. And then in the run game as well. I mean, when he knows that, hey, I might not be able to quite get here, or I don't know if I could quite overpower this guy in time, he still does a good job using his leverage, turning him around, doing what he can, so that he could still give his teammates a chance to make a play. And this is a talented enough area squad where, that's really all you gotta do if you're not quite there. And so that's kind of where I'm at with Jackson Clancy as a prospect. Like I said, I think he's somebody that has a lot of potential here. If he gets stronger, then I think his ceiling goes up quite a bit. But I feel like he really does know what's going on out there. And it's just a matter of matching that IQ with his body type here and just getting stronger. That's what it comes down to. You got to beat those defenders and put them in the ground a lot faster. That's just what it comes down to, and you got to be able to manhandle them outside of your leverage. But yeah, anyways, with all that being said, Kodey, what do you think about that evaluation? Do you think that's fair? And then we could talk about his outlook here.
Yeah, I think you bring up some good points here, and I think that this is a great reason why we have the averages here, because it's like the way that you view the awareness. I totally get that, and at the same time, I feel good about my awareness, and I think that in the middle of that is an accurate grade here, and I do think that yes, he does have I don't want to say like a long way. I don't want to make it sound like impossible, but he does have some work cut out for him athletically and in that weight room. Just because, I mean, we start talking about these other guys, especially once you get into the top three, and all three of those guys have blocks that are like, damn, they just massacred somebody. And I just feel like that was missing from Clancy's profile, both in the eye test category and in the, watching the film and the highlights category. So I think that happened less, especially in the top three guys that are just real nasty. Like Coach V said earlier, stay tuned. And so, between my grade of 76.6 here and your grade of an 84.5, that puts him at an 80.55. So high 2-star, low 3-star caliber. I think that's accurate. I think that's an accurate, representation of Jackson Clancy. And I think that, his offers kind of reflect that a little bit here. I was scrolling through quite a bit here, and he's a very highly communicated with D2 NAIA level player here, with the likes of South Dakota Mines, Chadron, Dakota State, VCSU, which is an NAIA school, McPherson, Jimmy. And I think something else that's worth mentioning here is he's been offered by CU for their rugby team, which is interesting. He's a pretty, it looks like he's a pretty talented rugby player as well. So, he does have options in some sense here, but I do think that, he's maybe, like you said, he could work himself into an FCS role potentially with a little bit more focus. I'm not sure if programs are looking for that kind of project at this moment in time.
No, with the transfer portal, I mean, you could get guys who are 2 or 3 year starters on the college level and play for you right away. When it comes to high school offensive linemen, I would say it's a little bit tougher because I don't think there are many offensive linemen that are going to go into a program. I'm talking probably more D1, but obviously D2 NAIA, it all still matters though. But I don't think there's many high school offensive linemen that's going to hop into a program and start day one. Even before all this transfer portal stuff, it really wasn't like that. Usually they take the red shirt and then probably another year, and then maybe they start getting some snaps or something like that. It depends, the program and what the turnover is like at offensive linemen. But obviously, O-linemen are valued. You need the line to win games, and so you have to put out the best guys out there. You can't put out a developmental project. This isn't high school, this is college, And so, look, glad he does have interest from some D2s. I think he could go to one of those and be really successful. And look, there are some prospects that we've talked about that have made our top 5 seniors list before that have been offered by D1s, but have decided that they're a better fit for a D2, and that is definitely okay. And then there's also, the JUCO route if he wants to go that route, or he could stick to rugby, which is not bad at all. I mean, for him to be moving the way he does at the 6'3", 260 frame, I'm sure they'll find a use out there as well. And I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for him, which is what matters in my opinion, because this is a kid that has championship DNA, even though they didn't win it. He has I guess, been part of a culture that has won a lot of games. They're a winning program. They're one of the best in the state, in my opinion. They do a good job putting players in pretty solid positions to succeed. And so, he kind of brings that to whatever college program he goes to. And like I said, I think he's a smart dude. I think he's someone that, he's not going to get confused on the college level. I don't think he's someone that's going to go into that and just not know what any of these terms mean or what they're talking about. I mean, I am going to throw this out there. He is a 6'0" guy. I think Matt does a really good job at preparing these kids at the next level, not just physically, but for sure mentally, especially those linemen. So I'm going to throw that out there as well. So, yeah, but we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, when we're recording this, signing day is tomorrow. Decisions are going to have to be made. That's just what's going to have to happen,
Yeah, no, totally. I agree with that. And, recruiting, it's a crazy game to navigate here. It's a crazy business to navigate. And, I think having options is great. I think South Dakota Mines, I actually went to school with some guys who committed to South Dakota Mines, and they had a good experience there. They have a solid education program, and, their athletics is, pretty balanced and supported by the student body. Obviously, we have a ton of love for Chadron State, who offers our overlooked guys here in the state very, very well, and, it pays dividends for the Eagles and whatnot. And, rugby, there's always options here. And, rugby is something where, maybe if depending on how the seasons fall or what have you, it could be mutually beneficial if he could, football's a little different than some other sports for sure. But, if there's an opportunity for a little dual kind of scholar thing where it's I don't know, a fifth and a fifth, and then you could package it up with, some grade scholarship stuff. You could make it work. You can negotiate into something depending on what program you're looking at and depending on what they're willing to do to kind of meet you there. And so I'd say just understand that you have options. Obviously, Clancy is a 6'0" guy, and just shout out to Matt at 6'0", which he might have worked with everyone on this list, maybe. He works with a lot of the linemen that we talk about. He's a good position coach, and he understands the business of football very, very well, and has talked about it on his stuff before. So, you have mentorship, you have guidance, and I think that you have a lot of options for how this could shake out and could really make the most of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But with that being said, though, Cody, is it good if we move on to our number 4 guy here?
Yeah, our number 4 guy, I'm very excited to talk about, and you're going to hear some things that are similar and some things that are different. That's a fair statement.
Yeah, per usual. But let's go ahead and hop into it. So our number 4 interior offensive lineman here in the class of 2023 out of Colorado is Tanner Regis, the Pine Creek High School center, guard, tackle, offensive lineman. standing at 6'2", 260, and hopefully I'm saying that last name right. I've literally watched this kid so many times, but announcers don't really announce linemen out there, not like that, outside of the beginning of the game. So there you go. But he's been part of a great Pine Creek program. Pine Creek is a program that has done a lot with their offensive linemen out there. They run the ball well usually, and they're a very dominant program. They represent some of the best out of the spring. So let's go ahead and talk about his grades just as an overview here. So versatility gave him an 8.5, hand fighting 8.7, pass pro 8.5, pull blocking 8.1, combo blocking is a 7, awareness 9.2 though, footwork 9, agility 8.2, strength 7.8, size 7.5 for an overall grade of 82.5. So a little bit of a smaller grade than Jackson here. Still would have made the top 5 regardless though, because he is a very good football player. And so let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that make him great, some of his highest grades here. So gave him a 9.2 for awareness and a 9 for footwork here. I mean, look, this is a kid that kind of knows his limits. He's on the shorter end as a lineman and the lighter end as well. 260, I could more or less agree that he is there. He feels a little bit lighter when watching him as well. I mean, he's moved around a lot, he gets a lot of playing time. I'm just going to throw that out there. So there you go there. But he knows his limits here, and he does work with what he has. And so, shout out his footwork. I think it's a very good. He knows what he's doing out there. He's not tripping over himself. That's a very solid. No complaints really there. And then his awareness, I gave him a 9.2. I mean, look, this is a kid that was a team captain for this Pine Creek squad. He knows what he's doing. He's aware of what the coaches want on certain plays. And Pine Creek, I would say, is a run-first school. They run the ball a lot with their running backs, with their quarterbacks, which I'm not the biggest fan of. And they pass it to a minimum. But here's the thing, though, with Tanner. In the run game, he does the little things really well. Like I said, a little limited as far as frame and athleticism goes, but he does what he can. He still makes the right football plays to spring his guys loose, goes out and he targets certain players that he feels like he needs to go ahead and block and seal off to go ahead and spring a big run here, whether it's up the middle or outside. I mean, he does his job really well. Just very aware of who he needs to get, and just very aware of the matchup as well, knowing like, okay, I can't block both of these guys, but if I could get this guy, then I know my back could make this player miss, and so whoever I leave, that's the back's responsibility. And there never really is a time where he just misses and he's just not doing a good job out there. And on top of that, like I said, maybe not the strongest guy, but he knows when to let go. He's very aware, doesn't really accrue a lot of penalties, in my opinion. He's very, very efficient in that way. So love that. I think he plays this game at a very high level, very high IQ type of guy. And he is a guy that they move around a lot at center, guard, left tackle, right tackle. I mean, he played, I feel like, all 5 offensive line positions for them this year or at some point in his career. And to do that, you kind of got to be a smart guy and know, like, okay, I'm at this position. What do they need me to do here? And that's really hard, to memorize all of that for 5 different positions, really. And some of it might be, just schematically, hey, I know I'm going to move here. This is what I got to do here. So that makes it a little bit easier. But for the most part, I really have seen him move around, and that's still pretty tough to do. So there you go. Now, talking about his, lower grades here, 7.5 for size, 7 for combo blocking, 7.8 with strength. Combo blocking, I think he knows when to slide to the next level and do all that stuff. Not super concerned about that. Now, the way he does it, it's just not super great, at least in my opinion, because he's just not the strongest guy. In my opinion, he's probably one of the weakest guys on this top 5 list, which, he still made the top 5 list. So you got to keep that in mind here. And it kind of shows because he's just not quite able to get the push you want sometimes, or lay out a dude and then be able to just go to the next level, because you can't just push a dude and then move on to the next level. Because if you push the guy and he absorbs, whatever power you have behind it, then, he's about to go nail your running back or quarterback or whatever. You have to finish the block, and so he knows that. There are times where he just, gets a little shove, a little stab, and then moves on to the next level, which, is kind of lazy blocking just for the sake of combo blocking. He knows his limits. He knows, all right, I can't get both of these guys, but I could seal off this guy and then maybe move up to the next guy. So he knows his limits there. I'm going to give him credit there, but I think the reason his combo blocking is so low is just because of his strength and size. 260, that's definitely undersized, especially as a senior. It's not the worst. He could weigh a lot less, obviously, but if he wants to play on the next level, 260, 250, I would say even on the D2 level, there are linebackers that weigh that much, and definitely defensive tackles that weigh more than that. He has to put on more weight, do his best with that, and all that great stuff. A lot very similar to Jackson here, I would say. He needs to put on more weight and get stronger so that he can go out and make those blocks and be a little bit more efficient. Because that is my biggest concern, more so than Jackson even, because he is a little bit shorter at 6'2". I don't think he quite has the wingspan that Jackson has here, the reach that he has. And even then, I still think Jackson is a bit stronger. Now, he does make up for it by being a super smart, football player that has played all 5 positions, and he's been a leader, and he has led this offense, and he has good hand fighting, good leverage. Usually he could turn a guy and, work with what he got there. So he works with what he got because he's a smart football player, but I think there's still another level that could be unlocked here. But for now, his ceiling is just a little bit low just because of how light he is. Knows what he's doing out there for sure, I would say, but he needs to get stronger. So there you go. But Kodey, what do you think about that evaluation, and what is yours?
I mean, I'm gonna say a lot of the same things here, and I'm just gonna start by going through my rubric here. Look, versatility wise, I have him at an 8. Hand fighting wise, 8.5. Pass pro, 8.9. Pole blocking, I have a 5.9. Combo blocking, 8.2, so a little bit of a difference there. But awareness and footwork both leading the charge here, 8.7, 8.5 respectively. Agility, 7.9. Strength, 7.8. And size, 7.3. So I guess I'll kind of climb from the bottom and work my way up here since you left off on areas of improvement. I think, obviously, his strength, 7.8. We both have the same grade there. It's not great, and I think that's reflected a little bit of his size that, I have at a 7.3 and you have at a 7.5. He's just small. And even outside of pads, he looks too slim, and you see it reflected in the pads as well. And you see it reflected in his offers. And yeah, that's not great. And then, I think that he's not asked to, I don't think it's an agility problem so much as it's an experience problem. But I just wish that he got opportunities to pull more. And there are times where, maybe he doesn't engage when he should. And, there leaves something to be desired there. I saw that reflected in that. But, climbing up this ladder here a little bit, agility-wise, he's also not the most athletic. This is the second lowest agility grade out of all 5 of these guys for me at a 7.9. I think that, he can move, but maybe he should move a little bit better if he's going to be that light, is kind of my opinion. I think that, his agility should probably be the highest here, considering he's the lightest guy on this list, and that just doesn't really happen here. And he just, these other guys have instances of pulling from, the center position, and he just doesn't really have that capability and just doesn't maneuver the field as well. But talking about things that he does well, everything from this point on does go to an 8 or above. Obviously, versatility. He literally does play every single position on the line through these 2 years of film, and quite a few snaps at all of them as well. Less so at tackle, but, at right tackle, he's a solid run blocker. He gets to where he needs to be, and, he gets his hands on guys, and, he forms a wall for a running back to run. He creates lanes. At left tackle and right tackle, and I think something else, and this will feed into his awareness here, but he knows what he's about. And, Coach V said it best, emphasizing he plays within his game. And, when he needs to chop somebody, he's capable of doing it. And, obviously chopping doesn't make you a great lineman, but utilizing chopping when necessary and being intelligent about it, I think that is something that can be acknowledged in short. But climbing up from there, at 8.2 is his combo blocking. I just think that he's smart about sliding off of his combo blocks. And, I guess that's kind of where that's reflected in my score. I will say that there are times where he is lazy and maybe doesn't get a whole block as a part of his combo, or he just throws the hand out there. But I think that, his ability to move and his communication is very, very strong in his combo blocking. I think that he does a great job of IDing guys and, being able to help out on combo blocks when necessary. So I think that is admirable as well. But talking about the things that I would say are actually, definable skills and admirable skills here for Tanner, I think it starts with his hand fighting. I think that he has quick hands. I think that he has strong hands. And I think that his hands can really just manipulate opposing players very, very well. Even though his hands, his reach isn't necessarily the longest, he's just very smart about his placement. And, he has a great chop and shove move, especially if defenders try and get low underneath his pads and they just shoot both hands out. It doesn't matter because he just locks those elbows and just mallets them into the ground very well. And I think that is a good hand fighting technique to have in your bag, as well as others that, he gets to show when he plays guard, when he plays center, when he plays tackle. And, just shows that he has a little bit of a bag. And, you have to be able to hand fight across different positions for versatility's sake, I would say a little bit. And, yeah, I think that is something to respect about Tanner here. Now, as far as things that are his best traits, his awareness at an 8.7, I think that he's a very, very smart football player. He IDs blitzers very often. I think that, he plays snaps at every position on the line, and he makes touchdown-worthy blocks from all of those. He's a very, very intelligent pass blocker. He keeps his head on a swivel. He has footwork that's good enough to slide. He slides blockers out to the edge if necessary and just kind of takes them where they want to go, and I think that's very intelligent. And I think that, he's just he controls very well, and he's strong enough to block and to pick up, and obviously having the IQ to recognize these stunts and whatnot, and just be patient in the pass game. I think that both these are very admirable. And then his pass pro is his best trait, which is very interesting. Like Coach V said, Pine Creek is not a pass first, or maybe even not even a pass second. It's run first, run second, pass third type of football team, type of program. But Tanner, in those times, he keeps the middle of that pocket very, very clean for his young quarterback this past year. And, even the year before that, did a good job of keeping a clean pocket, keeping those feet moving, and just playing a very complementary style of strengths and skills to be a very competent and capable pass blocker here. Now, that puts him, for me, at a 79.7. Coach V has him at an 82.5 for a composite or average score of 81.1. High 2-star, low 3-star kind of guy. And once again, his offers here kind of reflect that. Mainly D2 here to Black Hills State, Presentation College. Presentation might actually be a D3 or NAIA. I'd have to double check that. But then you have McPherson, Puget Sound, and Chadron as well. And, I think that these are all appropriate for a guy at this size. Now, if you're talking about a version of Tanner that is skilled at the things that he's skilled at and weighs 20 more pounds, I think that this is a very different prospect that we're looking at. I just don't know what that weight would look like on a 6'2" frame, and if he'd be able to maintain a lot of these same skills. But considering he's very technically sound in a lot of the fundamental ways and in a lot of the ways that, you don't have to worry about coaching, maybe you can focus on that strength side, on that size side. But either way, it is a project. Coach V, am I mistaken in that assessment when looking at these offers and talking about Tanner, the prospect here?
No, I think this is pretty appropriate. Honestly, if he was 20 or 30 pounds heavier and played at that weight at a pretty good level, I think he would probably be a D1 guy. But, he is pretty light here. I mean, he's been working on it. He's been getting heavier every year, so there's definitely improvement. But like I said, you can't start project players, and if you gotta wait 2 or 3 years for him to get to 280, 290 and be there consistently and hold that weight, that might be too long for some of those higher level programs. And so I think D2 is appropriate. And I mean, look, here's the thing with Tanner. He's not going to be the stupidest lineman in the film room, in whatever film room he goes into. I'm pretty confident about that. He's not going to be the stupidest. And I think that matters because, he automatically raises the IQ level at any room. And it does matter because you need linemen to not only be physical and do all that great stuff, but what's a good athlete if he doesn't know what to do out there on the field? And so I think he's somebody that you could definitely bring in. He's going to raise that IQ level of that line you have. He's going to really challenge dudes and do all the little things right and the big things right and do what he can within his abilities. And so it's going to take him some time, but I think once he is able to play and physically be up there with some of these guys on this next level, then I think he could definitely be a special player potentially. Love that he was very versatile. I'm sure that's going to matter here going on the next level. It will matter on the next level in case you need someone to plug and play eventually here. But just being honest, his weight definitely and strength is definitely holding him back just a little bit here. But still has opportunities to play on the next level, and I think that's what matters right now. Especially, with how tough it is out there, right, Kodey?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that versatility, this is a common grade throughout all of our top 5 series or just film evaluations. If there is more than one way to get on the field for you, you are automatically in a better spot than, one trick pony recruits, right? And that's no different for Tanner here. And I think that is honestly where his value really, really lies is, he's smart. Like you said, I don't think he's going to be behind in learning a playbook or anything like that. And it's like, oh no, someone went down. We need someone to play right tackle. That was our second street right tackle. We don't have another right tackle. Who do we got? And I could see Tanner stepping forward. I could play right tackle, coach. And do you know the plays? Absolutely. And just someone that you can trust. And so a trustful recruit is a good recruit.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Now, is he going to be excellent over there? No,
No.
But he's going to be competent, and I think that's what matters. So there you go. I mean, you got to sell yourself any way you can. And I think his ceiling, if he can put on weight and maintain it, can be pretty high here because of how smart he is. But his floor could also be low if he just can't get on the field because he's just not physically there with some of these guys. So, we'll see. There's kind of a big range here. But that's Tanner, though. I don't really have too much more to say here. If you don't have any more to say or add, Kodey, do you want to talk about our number 3 guy here?
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure introducing our number 3 interior offensive lineman of the 2023 class here in Colorado, and that is Ty Barwind out of VCHS, Valor Christian High School here. The 6'4", 291-pound guard/center here. And if that wasn't a proper introduction. His size is rated at a 9 for me, just to get things out of the way. 6'4", 291. I'm pretty sure he's at least listed as the heaviest guy here. There may be one that could potentially contend how heavy. But either way, he is just an absolute unit. You look at Ty Barwind walking through the hallways, and you're like, I wonder if that guy plays football. And not only does he visually look like someone who plays football, but physically, he is someone who carries that out and fulfills that block here. Look, his other highest category here, his other 9 or above grade is in strength at 9.2. He is just a mauler on this interior offensive line position, and he finishes blocks, and he finishes a variety of blocks here because, in this McGatlin system, I do have his pull blocking rated at an 8.9. He is trusted and asked to pull in a lot of different ways. This Valor offensive line, kudos to McGatlin. While I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, very wildcatty stuff, I will say that it is fantastic for linemen to really develop athletically and intellectually and to be asked to do a lot. And pull blocking wise for Ty Barwind is no different. He's somebody who pulled out of the center position for, even between the guard and the tackle to both the left and right. He's pulled out wide for big toss plays. He's pulled for reverse plays. He's pulled from the guard spot, both interior and exterior. He just has a lot of experience pulling all over the place. And so he navigates the field very, very well. He adapts to where the teammates are very, very well. And I think that routinely he's blocking the correct guy. He's getting a good block on the correct guy. And he's pancaking, the correct guy as well. So pull blocking wise, just very, very proficient, very sound in that sense. And, when you look at some other things that he does well and some things that, are arguably products of that system, combo blocking at an 8.5 here. He when you run the ball as much as they do, and you need to get to the second level because, they have some very solid athletes running out of the backfield. And, I think he does a great job of not just teaming up with somebody to get a block, but he will combo with a teammate, make sure that defender, that defensive lineman is on the ground. And then if you're a linebacker, that is not the guy that you want to be seeing on the second level because he's going to ruin you. He's going to get his second pancake on that play. And, if he does it fast enough, there's a chance where if one of your safeties or corners try to come in and make a play, they are also at risk of being flattened. So, I think that he does a great job there. And between these two things of pull blocking and combo blocking, I think that you get a player that, maneuvering the field the way that he has to, you get somebody who has very solid footwork. And I reflected that in my grade with an 8.4. I think it's solid. I think that, he's asked to do a lot. He consistently pulls. And so you have to have good footwork to be able to do that. And the volume of which he does things is, it's expertly. He maneuvers the field very, very well. And his feet have a lot to do with that. I will say, it's not perfect. There are times where, maybe the base gets a little narrow or maybe his feet slow down just a little bit, but I still think it's easily a 3-star trait here. His footwork, that is, just because of the power that he derives from it when he finishes blocks. It's very footwork driven, and I think that his stance is also solid the majority of the time. Now, also reflected here is his versatility. He did play a handful of tackle and at times in his film, and then, obviously center and guard. It almost felt like a 50-50 split watching it. I don't know for sure if that's the way that the snap count percentages ended up as, but, I think that he's a very versatile guy. And then obviously, at 6'4", 290 pounds, 6'4" specifically, he's big, right? So that helps him out at the tackle position, just reach-wise and whatnot. So I think that helps out his versatility as well. Not only that he played all those positions, but, that he has size to uphold positions both on the interior and the height and reach on the exterior to make that work. And then last but not least, his pass pro I have rated at an 8. I think it's solid. I think that he's consistent. Nothing crazy, I would say. It's not like he's dominating. He's just doing his job. And I think that's reflected in some of these other categories here that I have rated at an 8 in his awareness and agility. I think that he could move a little bit better I think that part of that is just being, an 18-year-old that's 6'4", 290 pounds, especially because his list weight, at least on his Twitter, was listed at 280. So I'm assuming that was probably at the beginning of the season or prior to the season. And then, he put on weight as well. So probably a little bit of adaptation to look forward to and a little bit of getting used to there. Awareness-wise, I will say that there's some times where he could block another guy and doesn't, maybe. And, I think that he could ID and communicate just a little bit more. But that's a little nitpicky, I will say. I mean, they are still graded at 8s. And then his lowest grade for me was hand fighting. I just didn't see any, I didn't see a huge variety of hand fighting. I didn't see anything that I was like, wow, that was a really good move. I think that, when he is challenged with basic level hand fighting, he handles it. When he is challenged with, maybe a player that is well-versed in a rip or maybe a swim, he handles it. He keeps their arms where he wants them. And then, obviously he has an absurd reach, which is why, his hand fighting does get this benefit. But I think at 6'4", his reach and utilization of his hands should be better. I really think it should be better. And so, you add all that up and you get an 84.2 here, which is, not to speak for Coach V here, but a pretty close grade.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree here. Look, I gave him an 84.9. That's my overall grade, and I'm going to go ahead and take that as my cue to talk about my grades here, just talking about it all together here. So versatility, gave him an 8.3, hand fighting 8.1, pass pro 8.4, pull blocking 8.7, combo blocking 8.5, 8.6 for both awareness and footwork. Then his agility, I had to give him a 7.7, but gave him 9s for both strength and size here. Look, Ty Barwin is part of a great tradition they have over there at Valor Christian. They always put out great offensive linemen. His teammate, Tanner Morley, was our, spoiler alert, second best offensive tackle in his class here. He was a good one for them. Borderline, I mean, he was getting close to that number one guy on that list as well. But, Tanner Morley did a lot for this team. You also have the freshman standout Brett Kolojay, who has a bunch of D1 offers now from Penn State, BYU, Miami recently offered him as well. And so Ty kind of gets, I feel like he's been a little overlooked just looking at some of his offers and whatnot. But what he does on this line is truly, commendable, and he does a really good job. I mean, looking at his strongest categories, strength here and size, both at 9s. I mean, this is a big dude at 6'4", 291. Size is not an issue at all. I don't think strength is an issue either. I mean, this is a dude that's going to maul you, like Cody said, and he is going to put you in the ground. He's going to be physical with you once he gets his hands on you. I mean, it's basically raps. He really does dominate that way. There aren't many guys. I really didn't see him get manhandled at all. And I've seen this kid play live against Thunder Ridge, who has a good defense. I saw him play his playoff game against Regis Jesuit. I wasn't there. I watched the live stream in full, though, and he was blowing up holes wide open for Trey Scott, Sawchuk, all the guys they have carrying the ball over there. I mean, he was a big part of this run game. He brought a lot of power and grit to this run game, I should say. And on top of that, he wasn't the worst on pass pro. I mean, gave him an 8.4, which is a little bit lower, but he's going to be physical with you regardless. And there are some guys, I wouldn't say necessarily on this list, but just in general, like there's some offensive linemen that just aren't as physical as I'd love them for them to be at their height and frame here. But that's not really an issue with Ty. He's going to be physical. He's going to be in your face. He looks like he loves to hit, and he does it with a lot of joy, it looks like, and with a lot of energy, which as a coach, you have to love, honestly, because he just clears the way up there. He's a people mover. So there you go. Those are his strengths. Now, I'm going to agree with Cody here. Some of his lower grades, 7.7 for agility, 8.1 for hand fighting. Let me start with hand fighting here first. He does what he needs to do. It's solid. He has pretty strong hands. I would like for his hands to get faster, though. I'm a little concerned. They're a little bit on the slower side. I love for that to be a little bit sped up, for him to get leverage a little bit quicker, and beat other guys to the punch there, beat them to the point of attack. I'd love to see that improve, for him to get a little bit faster in that aspect. Now, as a whole athlete, I'd love for him to be a little bit quicker, because I gave him a 7.7 grade here. I mean, he's the least agile player I have graded here. A lot of it, he is able to cover up because he knows where he needs to go, very aware of where he needs to be at, and then his strength, I mean, it makes up for a lot of that. Where he can't get to speed-wise, he's going to get to power-wise by blocking his guy into somebody else. And you see that happen from time to time here. And so I'd like to see that, improve here. And I think it can be improved. Just lean up a little bit here, really work on those short bursts, especially when you're pulling and whatnot. And I think that is very fixable. I should say more improvable than anything. But definitely something I'd love for him to get better at. He's just not as fast as I'd probably like him for him to be, because when you think about him and how teams are going to use him, they know he's a strong run blocker. They're going to want to pull him and do all that great stuff. He's going to have to be fast enough to not only beat out defensive linemen, but get to the next level and get to those linebackers who, are evolving and are 4-4, 4-5 guys at the highest level here. And I think he's somebody that does have that ceiling, the ability to potentially play on the highest level, in my opinion. Power 5, potentially Group of 5, D1 at the very least, because of his size. So there you go there. Now, Ty Barwind altogether as a prospect, I think this is a kid that, like you said, Kodey, he's a mauler, he's physical, he hits, strength is not an issue. He's gonna make a point, and he's gonna do that all game. In that Regis Jesuit game, this kid felt like he was unstoppable, and it's because he was. It's because they didn't really have a guy to absorb, all 291 pounds of power here, because that's what it is. And he was part of a great offensive line, a very physical offense that got the job done, and part of a great tradition that Valor Christian has of putting out great offensive linemen. So there you go there. That's kind of how I view Ty Barwin here. Now, Kodey, have you looked at his socials and kind of what offers he has and whatnot? He's very supportive of his teammates, which is great. But
yeah,
let's talk about it.
I'm not happy about it, honestly. And I'm sure he's not like thrilled about it either, to be fair. But shoot, man, he has an offer. He has 2 offers right now, from what I could find. A lot of these are visits, but he has an offer to Trinity University and Wisconsin Platteville. I'm pretty sure both of those are D3, if I'm not mistaken. But, he's also had a visit. He just most recently had a visit to North Central College, which were the D3 national champions in 2022. And, he's had a lot of visits. He's had a lot of, people checking into him. But I agree wholeheartedly. He is, I'd even say, criminally overlooked. I think that this is a 3-star. I think it's pretty solid 3-star recruit that we're talking about here. And no D2 offers. NAIA looks really... look, GPA-wise, he's a 3.54 unweighted and a 4.0 weighted student athlete. So I don't know. I'm, what's the word? Flabbergasted?
I'm surprised none of the D2s in Colorado have done anything about it.
Yeah, he's right here. He's right here. And it's not like he's not recognized in the state of Colorado. He was a second-team All-State guy. And I feel like, our Colorado schools are very good at looking at the All-State talent and and shooting offers or partial offers or something here. And I mean, his teammate Brody just committed to Northern Colorado that I think could use someone nasty and big. And, even, it's not like this Valor line doesn't get looked at, but I feel like a lot of the love is going to, like, the tackles, and that's no shade at them. The tackles are warranted, both in Morley and in Breck, College, in the looks that they're receiving. But, I mean, if you're watching the film, how could you not see Ty Barwind, even in those guys' films, stick out? I mean, he's huge. He pulls. He's responsible. You know what I mean? And, I mean, I feel like there's, like, the work that you have to do with him is not, like, I don't look at, like, him and be like, oh, like, man, he might be a backup his senior year. I'm like, no, this is one of those few linemen that I think you already have great size and strength, which is like what you need to start. It's the basic ingredients for creating the perfect lineman. And you look at what work you have to do, and this is somebody that I think could even crack into a rotation or, be a starter as a junior in college. And I don't know. I'm speechless. If you can't tell by my lack of ability. Like, when I pulled up his Twitter, I was just blown away. Just, wow, how does this guy not have more looks? Until, some schools listen to this episode, probably. But, nonetheless, that would be after signing day, which is, kind of tough.
Yeah, signing day is tomorrow, so unless within the next, not even 24, really within the next 12 hours, a school comes in and whatnot and offers him, we'll see. But it's getting really late, so we gotta talk about the options here, and
I think it's worth potentially waiting for the late signing period.
Okay.
Just to maybe see. But I mean, look, he did visit the D3 national champs, and we've seen when it comes to linemen, NFL's willing to look anywhere. So it's not like nothing is completely shot and over with and spoken for.
Not that the NFL is everything, and all that.
Yeah.
But no, I got you. I mean, look, I think this is a kid that probably deserves to go. Well, he for sure deserves to go to college for free, and be on scholarship. Because I think that is the level of player he is. If he goes to any other, like if he's over at Cherry Creek or if he starts for Pine Creek, Jesus Christ, or any of these other 5A programs where, he's not, like they don't have super stacked O-lines, and then there's the question of like, oh, is it really him or is it, Tanner Morley or Breck or whoever else is there? I think, if he was kind of a standalone guy and was able to star a little bit more, then yeah, sure, I'm sure he would have more offers, but it is what it is, and it's a shame, obviously, but I think this is a kid that, could do well walking on somewhere potentially. I mean, as long as it's the right fit. I'd love for Northern Colorado to go pick him up and be like, hey, come on as a PWO, and there would be an opportunity for you to earn a scholarship sooner than later. I'd love for that to happen. We'll see, but like I said, it is kind of getting late in the game here. Regardless, here's the bottom line. He's a talented player. He's number 3 for a reason. He's a kid that has played for a successful program, that has won a lot, so he has that winning mentality. He's an aggressive football player. There's not a lot you really have to coach him on, to be honest with you. I feel like it's pretty minimal. I mean, look, he could get faster for sure, but I mean, you're going to redshirt him anyways, and he's going to work on it. So I think by the time he is, in that window where he might play or start, I think he will be fast enough. No question, honestly, because it's not like he's just slow as hell and he can't move, and he's just like a rock out there. Like, he moves pretty well. They pulled him a lot. So we'll have to see. This will be a really interesting storyline here, but obviously rooting for bro, because I think he is somebody that's extremely talented and can play on the D1 level and D2 level and, bang with the best out there and more. Right, Kodey?
No, absolutely. I think that whatever program gets Ty is, going to be saying thank you and going to be getting a really good prospect. I think that, he's done a lot. His resume is impressive. It really is. And, he has a chunk of film to look at in, 2 different offensive systems, mind you. And you could see the growth and the adaptability of Barwind here. And, you can't miss him. Dude's 6'4", 290 pounds. So I think that the future is still bright for Ty here. And I'm excited to see what he does, and I'm excited to see how much he dominates where he goes.
Yeah, no, for sure. But with that being said, let's keep it going here. Talk about another 5A player here. And so the second best interior offensive lineman here in the class of 2023 out of Cherry Creek High School is Hank Zelinskis. One of the best Steelers, by the way, spoiler alert, committed to Coach Prime's CU, probably their best pickup from Colorado here in this class here. It's very warranted, and so let's talk about it here. So with his grades, 8.6 versatility, 8.7 hand fighting, 8.7 pass pro, 8.9 for pole blocking, 9.4 for combo blocking though, awareness 9, footwork 8.7, agility 9.3, highest among all the linemen here on this top 5 list. Strength 8.5 though, size 8.3 for an overall grade of 88.1 for the 6'3", 275-pound interior lineman out of Cherry Creek, the 4-time champ here. Right, yeah, because he got playing time his freshman year, right, Kodey? So
I'm pretty sure he's always been a unit.
So he's always been out there, a little undersized, but he's been out there. He's gotten playing time, and so he is the 4-time state champ out here, one of the captains for Cherry Creek High School. Let's go ahead and talk about what makes Hank so great here. So gave him a 9.4 for combo blocking and 9.3 agility. Look, those grades for me usually go hand in hand, but this dude is quick and fast. There's one play on his reel, and I've watched this kid play live against Thunder Ridge in the playoffs, against Regis Jesuit, who all have guys that, have made our top 5 list. And he's consistently been part of a great offensive line unit that has hammered Colorado programs across the state. But Hank here, he's quick. He brings a level of finesse that is honestly a blur for an offensive lineman. There's one play on his reel here. It's like a couple plays, and I don't think it's the first one. But he is like sprinting at full speed, keeping pace with his running backs. And it's not like his running backs are slow or anything. Like, this dude is moving and hauling at 6'3", 275 out there, getting out into space, blocking dudes. He is quick, and fast. And this is a kid that has kind of been a little undersized here. Here at 275 is a little undersized here. I think there was kind of a big jump between his junior and senior year as far as strength and power goes, which has helped him out a lot and has helped match his finesse and his agility and speed here. But, he's really put it all together. This is a real finesse type of offensive lineman that you could pretty much play all over the interior, maybe even put him outside as well, because I think he is quick enough. But this is a quick guy. It's not easy to get by Hank here. Not at all. And then, you have a lot of grades here. 8.6 for versatility, 8.7 hand fighting and pass pro, 8.9 for pole blocking. Look, he does it at a very high level. He was, I think, the lone senior on this Cherry Creek offensive line. So he's very experienced. He knows what he's doing. It's not like he's out there and he doesn't know what's going on. His awareness is a 9. Very good awareness, picks up blitzes really well, knows when to move on to the next level, knows when to adjust his hands. He just does a very good job at that. So there you go there. And I don't want to take everything, and so I'm going to move on to some of his lower grades here. Gave him an 8.5 for strength, an 8.3 for size here. That size frame could probably be a little bit higher here, but look, he's 6'3", 275 here. I really do believe he probably played in that 270 to 275 frame / range this season, and he looked pretty good while doing it. Now he's gonna have to put on more weight. I think he isn't quite able to finish off some blocks here as quick as he can. I think he could definitely use an off season or two to get stronger, get more powerful to match that speed and agility. But it's definitely one of the weaker parts of his game. Now, he's a real good overall prospect that I feel like, if you had to add an archetype to him or label an archetype when talking about Hank, he's an agile, quick lineman. Someone that I feel like could do well in a spread type of offense, or a run heavy offense where there's a lot of pulling pieces and whatnot. This is a kid that could fit a lot of different schemes because of how quick he is. Now, strength wise, to get on the field, he just needs to get stronger. Period. That's it. But other than that, he's a well-rounded player that's a very quick, elite. He has elite quickness. He's part of a great family of offensive linemen. His brother is playing for Rutgers. He was a great player in his day as well. I think Hank is as well. And so, that's really all I could say about Hank here. Like I said, I don't want to steal too much. So, Kodey, what is your evaluation and what do you think about mine here?
I gotta agree here, and just look. This is once again championship DNA just flowing through the veins here of the Zelinskis family here, and but both of them. But Hank here does really impress, and I'm very excited for him. Look, my lowest grades for him are an 8 and an 8.1 and an 8.2. That's a pretty good prospect to have your lowest grades not be below an 8. So at worst, he's a 3-star level prospect. And so let's just talk about, the things that he does well and where he knocks on the door of 4-star. I got to agree, my highest grade for Hank here is as a combo blocker. He's just very intelligent. He's very smooth, and he's fantastic. My first 2 sentences here to talk about, his combo blocking as well as his agility here that I have at an 8.8. Great at getting downfield and making blocks. Superb speed to get downfield and takes good angles to get downfield and make blocks. Smart to help on combos when necessary, but won't hesitate to roll off and up if the situation is handled. And there's little things. There's one play in particular that really, really did a lot of work for his combo blocking and his awareness. His awareness being graded at an 8.7, by the way. And even his hand fighting a little bit at an 8.7. It was this play against Thunder Ridge. So this would be in the playoffs. So on the biggest stage, mind you, he's pulling off this maneuver where he literally, he throws a left hand out to push one defensive tackle into his other guy, right? So nice pop, nice quick punch. And then, he goes forward and he gives a shove against a linebacker, and then he seals the touchdown by simply sticking his right arm out and just taking away an entire lane. A defender can't run through his arm. It's a clothesline worthy, but it's such a cerebral play because he's not focused on that other defender. And there's a chance that this play scores without him doing that. But it's it's the details, right, that separates the good from the great prospects here. And I think that small, that tiny maneuver where he doesn't necessarily, quote, block, unquote, 3 players, but his impact is felt by 3 defenders. That is cerebral. That is absurd. It is, starts with a combo, gets to downfield, and then, he has a whole trifecta of just well done execution, and this trifecta is exposed upon to 3 players here. So I think that, he's obviously great. He's great. He's graded here at an 85.2 overall for me. those things are great. His footwork and agility go hand in hand here, I would say, at an 8.9 and an 8.8, where, I mean, he just moves very, very well. His feet are relentless. They are just pow, 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 pounding the ground constantly. And, it's a source of a lot of his strength is in his footwork and just driving his legs, picking those feet up. I mean, I'd be surprised if this guy doesn't do tire drills just because of how clean those feet move and how powerful of pistons they really are here. So I think that, he does all these things great. Size-wise, I'm probably a little bit generous on this size at an 8.6 potentially. But I think that he wears the size well. I think that he is lean. And, I do trust him to be 275 heading into Boulder. I trust that. So, Pass Pro, 8.2. Creek did not really pass the ball more than they had to this year with a few different, actors and a few different faces, a few different cast members throwing the ball for sure. A little bit of a QB by committee, which is, unprecedented for a state champ. But when you have guys like Hank in front of you and some of the other linemen that they have, it becomes very possible just because, it's a safe environment. Now, his, quote, weakest categories here, strength, I have graded out at 8.2. He does just need to get stronger. He does need to, get, and I'd say stronger up top. You see him kind of compensate for his strength up top in his upper body by using his legs the way that he does, which you need to still do that. But I would say that, you want to be solid top to bottom in case, something happens with, maybe your feet can't get in the spot that you need to, or maybe they get you off the line. Especially, there's just a lot more unknowns when you're going to the D1 level, especially with the pass rushers he's going to be seeing in the Pac-12 low key. So, you got to be able to be strong up top. Now, his other categories here, pull blocking, I have an 8.1. My nitpicking note here was, he's solid at pulling, but he could be a hair slow adapting to a pushback in the line. He's not as fluid as some of these other guys where, if their guard or tackle does get moved, he adapts slower than those other guys. Still 8.1, still solid. But, you can notice that. And on the next level, that hair becomes more of a thread, as far as thickness, and then turns into a braid, etc., as far as how big of a deal it can become. Then I also think that, when blocking, his chest can get a little far away from his base when he's driving. And I think that has to do with his strength as well. But, it consistently drives, which is good. I just wish they keep it more under him in that case. So, just being a little bit more balanced. And, overall, I think he's a great run blocker. He's a competent pass blocker. He's consistently, displaying good footwork, but he needs to get more balanced as an athlete. And I think that can be addressed with his agility a little bit. And I think that's why I don't have it graded as high. And, I think that his hand fighting will be tested more on the next level. But I think that he's willing to get to that. But, I think that, no matter where you are on this list, getting stronger is not... Like, everyone should get stronger. You're an interior offensive lineman. Your strength probably matters more than arguably any other position that's not the mirror to IOL in the DT section there. So, versatility-wise, didn't see him really play center a whole lot. But I think I could trust him. So, it's still at an 8. I could trust him just agility-wise and technique-wise to play center or tackle, honestly. And so, the versatility comes from trust in other areas, but is not necessarily display driven. Now, you talked about it. You spoiled it a little bit for anyone who didn't know. But, this is a Buffalo here for CU, Simon. How excited is that? And, he's going to get tested in the Pac-12 whenever.
Yeah, he for sure will get tested. And, look, Coach Prime is bringing in a lot of transfers. And so Hank wasn't going to play day one anyways. And I think that's better. Give him some time, redshirt, learn from some of these transfers. Some of these guys are all conference guys. former 4-star, high 3-star, 5-star type of dudes, really learn, right? Because once his time comes, I think he is going to be a key part of this CU offensive line, and look, you win by building the trenches, and I think by getting one of the best in Colorado, that's going to go a long way in an investment down the road. Now, I know, there's a lot of fans and people in Colorado that are, I feel like rightfully so, questioning, how long is Coach Prime going to stay? Is somebody that's going to get recruited right now, is he even going to get a chance to see the field with Coach Prime? And when I feel like those are all valid arguments, but, you got to build the roster regardless. I don't think they're going to win, season 1 or even too much season 2. This is something that takes time. And I think Hank getting into this program, he's going to be somebody that's going to emerge as an important part of that offense. He's a smart kid. Like I said, comes from a great line of linemen, has championship DNA, has experience winning and winning championships. I think he's going to bring that to CU and help change that culture that, is going to want to win championships. But first off, they're going to have to win the Pac-12 first. That means going through CU, going through USC. Lincoln Riley and those boys. Even UW, University of Washington, they got some guys over there as well. They usually always recruit well. Utah, they're always tough. You got to be ready for a war when it comes to Utah, because if you can't match them physically, then they're going to beat you, just like they did to USC twice this year. They're just better, more physical than them. And so for Hank here, he's going to go to CU, he's going to learn. He's going to, take his time and become the best player he could be before he could hit that field, which, already they're getting a high-level prospect. And so I'm really excited about it. CU hasn't really went out and got a lot of 23s, which honestly is concerning, but I love that Hank is still somebody that they're going to pull here. I think that's definitely a steal for them, honestly. And he was, I want to say he was committed before, and then they reoffered him, and so the commitment still stands. And I wouldn't necessarily say Coach Prime, scouted him and found him, but still good enough to reoffer him, and I think that still goes a long ways. Right, Kodey?
No, absolutely. I think that that's important for CU just to try and maintain that, connection within the state that, initially did not look super connected. But, I think that I'm excited for Hank. I do agree with everything you have to say. Don't worry about where things are going, and just control what you can control until you get there. Is the mentality that I think Hank probably has heading into this, and something that Hank, I think, can execute well, and, something that would benefit both Hank and the program.
Absolutely. So, we'll see. Excited for his future. Excited to see him play. It was really fun watching him these last couple of years. He is a kid that we have known of for a really long time, basically since we've started this podcast. And so, really happy for bro and his family. So there you go. But, Kodey, do you mind if I talk about honorable mentions here before you talk about the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the state?
Go ahead and take it away. I just want to shout out one of our consistent listeners and fans. Shout out to Russ Stanley and Cole Stanley, who I did have graded at a 75.1, who is just outside of my top 5. But Kodey, talk about some of these other guys as well, and your thoughts on them as well as Cole here.
Yeah, and Kodey, you'll send some notes. I definitely agree with that evaluation. I think he's a good player. I think he's smart. He knows what he's doing. I'd like to see a little bit more physically. I like for him to be have a little bit more of a mean streak, and all that. So I'm just going to keep it short there. So there you go. He's definitely somebody we looked at. We looked at Ian Turner out of Columbine as well. Big boy that plays center for them. Problem is, when you have a run first / run only offense, it's really hard to, look at your pass pro. So that was definitely an issue there. Looked at Tucker McGinnis out of Thompson Valley. Anthony Munoz, he's somebody who's been rocking with us out of Roosevelt. Obviously had a lot of opportunities to look at him. Alex Cook was another one as well here. Here, let me scroll down the line here. I'm gonna admit a mistake. I don't know why. I thought for sure Jackson St. Aubin out of Palmer Ridge played in the interior. He's been playing outside, so I don't know. That is on me. He for sure would have made our tackle list, or yeah, I feel like he would have made our list there. So there you go. I just wanted to shout him out there real quick. But just a couple guys there. Kodey, is there anything missing? / is there anything you want to add on?
No, I mean, this is a state that runs the football a lot. So we get a lot of opportunities to watch guards go to work and see what their strengths and weaknesses are just out of pure volume. It's something that we routinely have to see, and it's something that, oh, this guy missed a block. We see it throughout the year. And so there's a lot of competition here for this top 5, lineman spot, period. And, it's just a very exciting position to analyze or assess. But Coach V, you mind if I fan out here on our number 1?
Yeah. Also, I want to mention Caleb Grimble, and some other linemen like him. They also played offensive line, but we will most likely evaluate a lot of those guys as interior defensive tackles, which should come out next week. So just keep an eye out or ear out for that. And also, before we head into this one, I just want to say if you made our top 5 list, we'd love to have you on for an interview here, just like we did with our number 1 guy. And so, Kodey, go ahead and take it away. I know this is very dear to you as a fan, so you got it.
Oh, you betcha. I am excited for round 2 of interview with our number 1 interior offensive lineman of the class of 2023 here in Colorado, Joshua Bates out of Durango High School. And to any headphone listeners, rip. I know that was probably not easy for you, but I am super excited for this Boomer Sooner commit here in this class of 2023, the chosen class of 2023. Shout out to anyone who listened to the Josh Bates interview. If you haven't, go ahead and give that a listen. But let's go ahead and talk about his game here. And I feel like it's kind of losing its novelty to almost say this every episode, but Joshua Bates is now the highest rated PMC player for myself, and I think period. Pretty sure we're going to start keeping a track, maybe a master list of that, just in general, and we still got to go back and look at our old recruits. But look, Josh Bates here, let's just go down the line. Versatility, 9.1. Hand fighting, 8.8. Pass pro, 9. Pull blocking, 9.5. Combo blocking, 8.9. Awareness, 9.5. Footwork, 9. Agility, 9. Strength, 9.4. And size, 8.8. For an overall grade of 91 here for the OU commit. And I just want to say, I'm just going to read my synopsis here and then kind of dive into the grades individually. Look, he pulls from the center position so efficiently and adjusts to the line of scrimmage and its varying shapes on any given play. He gets out of his stance incredibly fast and reads space great. Consistently, he's keeping his head on a swivel, especially in pass pro. He routinely pancakes his initial guy and helps with the next guy in a good combo. He's so strong that combo blocks aren't really necessary, but succeeds when doing them and can get to the next level and get another pancake. He could do it more often / will have more opportunities to do that more at the next level, as well as, just pass pro and hand fighting in general, I think. But, in general, his hands are very fast. They've succeeded not only here, but across workouts and camps as well. And, throughout his film, especially junior year, he played solid blindside tackle film. And, has also been an excellent guard, and that was out of a place of necessity. We got to talk to him about that. And, injuries were ridiculous is probably the best way to word it for that Durango team in that 2021 season, his junior year. And so, for him to step up the way that he did and for him to heed advice from multiple different angles and just be very intelligent and adaptable goes a long way. His versatility is 9.1, and it's not even a top 3 category for him for me. So, I think that there are things that he could polish that kind of fell to the back burner against some of their competition and in Durango's scheme these past 2 years. But I am very excited for his collegiate career as a Colorado guy, as a Colorado kid, and a Colorado football enthusiast, the state that is. But as an OU fan, I can't wait to geek out a little bit again, talking to him about the Boomer Sooner culture there, and still making a bowl game despite all the losses that we had as well. But this 23 class is special, and Josh Bates is such an integral part of that. Look, pull blocking. He can pull from guard, center, or tackle. He could pull from the tackle spot. Somebody gets a seal block, or some like one of their fullbacks in this instance kind of fills there, and he could pull to the outside and just literally commit homicide on a cornerback or safety. That's something that he's capable of doing. He moves with those safeties, those linebackers, those corners very well laterally, and that's why his footwork is at a 9. And pull wise, he just gets out of his stance. There are times where he beats his teammates that are, in the order of pulling ahead of him, and he has to pull up and, be like, all right, go find somebody, because there's somebody in an opposing jersey that I have to just ruin's day. And he goes and does that, identifies defenders very, very well, and blocks the right guy, I'd say almost every time. And beyond that, blocks his guy and is also capable of blocking another guy on a play where he's already pulling. And this is a guy that is asked to do a lot on this line, but his gas tank runs deep. Awareness-wise, this is another point where, in pass pro, always IDs the right guy, consistently answers the phone when it comes to delayed blitzes, stunts, and tricky stuff. Because, look, if you're playing against Bates, you have to account for him on the line, and you have to do things to try and throw him off. And I haven't seen anyone succeed yet as far as, and some of these delayed blitzes that he does eventually block are really delayed to the point where, he helps one of his teammates with a pass block, and then he goes back to his gap responsibility once they are in a safe spot, and he blocks another guy too that is on a very delayed blitz. Nothing really gets past this guy. He's so intelligent. Just talking ball with him, over our interview was very exciting. And, there's also interviews that he has, or clips that he has at 6-0 where they're talking film, they're talking schemes, they're talking looks. And, he's just snap, on it, and just IDs things very well. He's very cerebral of a football player down for those demons. And not only is he smart, not only can he move and get out in space, but he is strong. I don't have any numbers in front of me right now, but I can't imagine them being very small. He's a bully. He is a mauler with all caps. And that goes back to his sophomore year even, where he is just eliminating people from a play. And you just got to be very pleased with how he just takes care of business. Nasty is what you have to be on the inside. And Josh Bates, in the endearing way, is filthy, disgusting, nasty in the way that he just destroys those who, especially if they try to come to him and he's in pass pro, or there's a run and you're in his down block gap. Forget about it. You've already lost when you put your hand in the dirt or lined up there. Now, Coach V was kind enough to, to not take everything. So versatility, I'll leave that for Coach V to talk about. It is impressive. I kind of touched on it just a little bit. Footwork agility wise, I think that he moves very, very well in space. I think that, there's still room for improvement, but at 6'4", 280, you got to be pretty happy with how he moves in space. And, his footwork is just very, very clean in the pass game, in the run game. I was watching them over and over again. And, it kind of stinks for the rest of these guys that I watched Josh Bates first, because I definitely think I was kind of harsh on the rest of these guys for not being Josh Bates. But, it's hard to be him. Coach V, obviously, there's still plenty to talk about here. But what do you think of that initial assessment? Did I leave you enough to talk about? And I think you started with Josh Bates first as well, and I do think it did make it harder to grade some of these other guys fairly with the idea of Josh Bates in mind.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care if I'm grading you harder, to be honest with you. You got to set the tone somewhere. You got to set the bar somewhere, and then you work your way down because, we kind of knew that he'd be number one here. We knew Hank might give him maybe a little bit of a run, but still, though, Josh, we knew was stronger, though. And in my opinion, he is the most aggressive, he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he has a mean streak to him. This is a dude that you are going to win championships with because he brings a level of toughness and grit to your squad. He truly outhits everybody on this list. Honestly, he probably outhits everyone on our top 5 senior list, to be honest with you. I'm just going to be real with you. This is a kid that is going to put your face in the ground, and he's going to put his foot on top of your head on top of that, and then put his body weight on you too. He does not care. This is football, baby. You got to come ready to hit. And when you see this dude pulling around that corner, you really don't want that smoke. You got to either move out of the way or you got to try to outmaneuver him, which is hard as is because he's a smart kid who is extremely polished, honestly. And, he's coming to hit you and knock you out. He's not just coming to block you, he's coming to knock you out and bring you to the slaughterhouse. Joshua Slaughterhouse Bates, that's how I see it, to be honest with you, because he is that guy. And honestly, here, let me go through the grades real quick here because I don't want to jip him out of an actual film analysis. Versatility, 9.2. Hand fighting, 9. Pass pro, 9.2. Pull blocking, 9.5. Combo blocking, 9. Awareness, 9.2, along with footwork. Agility, 8.7. Strength, though, 9.2. Size, 8.7 for an overall grade of 90.9. First things first, he is the first player in PMC history to garner a grade over a 90 and above. So that is excellent. He is the first one to do that. That means in our eyes, he is a 5-star, legit 5-star guy. And I truly believe that if he wasn't in Colorado, if he was somewhere else and maybe didn't commit super early, I truly believe he is a 5-star. I'm pretty sure, I want to say he's a 4-star somewhere. I thought I saw that. But I truly believe he's a 5-star guy. I think he could go down to Texas and start for any offensive line. Any offensive line on the high school level, my bad, in Texas. That's what I meant to say. And, I'm a guy who grew up in Texas, grew up in Plano. I got to see an offensive lineman that I knew grow up and, play at my high school and then go to the NFL. Shout out my boy, Joe Noteboom, went to TCU. He's the left tackle for the LA Rams right now. And so I know what good linemen look like. And Josh Bates is one of those guys. Of course, I gotta talk about it. His dad did play for CU, I believe, and was in the NFL as well. Shout out to him. And so, apple doesn't fall far from the tree here. And, Josh here, he's nasty. I think, honestly, I agree with everything you said. He's super polished. He knows what he's doing. He's not just like a, athletic, powerful, aggressive dude out there. Everything he does has a purpose. He doesn't overreach. He doesn't have bad plays, really. He does a really good job. A couple of things I do want to talk about is lowest grades. Agility, 8.7. Size, 8.7. I kind of feel like his size, or at least the listed weight, is outdated. So, don't hold that to me, Josh. I kind of feel like he's over 280 pounds, which is better, and that in that case it would be a 9. So there you go. Now agility, though, I'm gonna be real. Looking at his film, it kind of feels like he got just a little. He got slower. I'm not going to sugarcoat it even from junior to senior year. Maybe it's because he's putting on weight, or maybe it was injuries, whatever. Honestly, I'm not concerned. If he had, that agility from last year, it would easily be a 9, even the year before, I would say. And so I'm not even really that concerned about it. I just think it's something, he could definitely work on. Just get a little bit quicker here, more explosive, get leaned up while still putting on weight. I know that could be a little bit hard to balance here, but, once he hits this, off-season program and, gets on those meal plans at OU, I think things will be different and he'll be just fine. So not even really concerned about it. But look, Joshua Bates as a player, the type of prospect he is an all-around guy. He's a guy that could go pro, not like right now, but like someday, I would say. This is a kid that, has all of the physical abilities. He has the right mentality for it. He brings championship DNA because he did win a state championship during the COVID year, which was, really hard to do in hindsight. And I mean, he's a guy that could play, I would probably say, all 5 positions potentially. Now, would you love to put him at left tackle or right tackle? I don't think that's the greatest fit for him. I think the best fit is center because he's so smart, or on the interior if you really need. But he can play all those positions because of his frame and how smart he is and how well he moves and all that great stuff. And so I'm not super concerned about that, but he is a versatile lineman that could play wherever you want and be almost a plug-and-play guy. So there you go. But truly an all-pro potential. Okay, I don't want to get too far, but potentially a pro type of player. He holds himself, he keeps himself accountable as a professional, I would say. I mean, he's one of the few, I don't want to say few, that sounds like a shot, but he's one of the few guys in the state that I really feel like, yeah, he acts like a pro already. He does a lot for his community. We talked about that in the interview. We had I guess it was last year, not a couple years ago. So you could go ahead and check that out. And he does a lot for his community. He's been real active there, and has always been a great teammate and mentor. And so there's no doubts about his character there. But on the field, he's a menace. He's in your face. He's hitting you. He's not going to stop until the whistle blows. He is aggressive. He brings a level of terror that not many guys at this size do. There's plenty of dudes who are big, but there's levels to this. There's guys who are big, and then there's guys who are big and aggressive. And then there's guys who are big, aggressive, and smart. And Bates is all 3 of those, and that's why he is the first guy in PMC history to be a 90 overall plus player. True 5-star guy in our opinion. And I'm going to throw this out there as well that I feel like is going to really legitimize this, but he did go, this was a while ago, he must have been an underclassman back then, but he did go to one of OU's camps, and he did tell us in one-on-ones he didn't get beat by anybody at that camp. And it's not like he's just going against guys at his level. I mean, this is a camp for, all prospects and whatnot, regardless of class. And he was undefeated as a underclassman. And so imagine what he is going to be as, an incoming freshman. Now, 2 years removed from all of that. He was personally recruited by Lincoln Riley. And I'm going to throw this out as well. Even when Lincoln Riley left and there was a lot of controversy with that, he chose to stay loyal and he chose Oklahoma. And so you can't doubt his loyalty first off. He really fell in love with the campus. He talked about that a lot and whatnot. And I truly think he's going to bring, just a high level of football to OU, something they kind of need to help stabilize that offensive line and bring back that tradition, that rich tradition that they do have, especially considering that they are going to make the switch to the SEC soon here. I'm not sure when. I thought it was 2026, but I also kind of assume maybe they would make that switch sooner. Kodey, you'd probably know more about that, but also what do you think about my eval there and everything I had to say about Bates here?
Yeah, I think that they're trying to join in 2024 to answer that first question. But I mean, look, I get the best of both worlds in this situation, just because first off, getting to actually interview Josh, and I mean, look, we always talk about it. Lineman interviews are so much fun, and Josh was no different. And we both got to nerd out about OU and the rich history and the tradition, and he's going to get to be a part of that. And then it was like, we had that interview before the Lincoln Riley thing. And then it was like, okay, let's hold off on, some of the excitement and stuff. And to see that he stayed committed, I was like, yes, thank goodness, because I think that he's going to kind of, be closer aligned to what it means to be a Sooner of a more Bob Stoops defined era of OU, and just be nasty up front and just, dominate in a lot of different ways. But also, I think that something about Josh that developed more and more each year is just how great of a leader he became. From his junior year, having to step up and play positions that he wasn't expected to. And, he's like, I learned a lot my sophomore year from those seniors and how to lead a team and whatnot. And he said that was a focus his junior year to try and iron out. And I think that, this senior year, he really became everything that you needed to do by example in the first place. He leads by example in the film room and studying film and knowing defensive tendencies. He leads by example on the field in physicality, but he leads by example in practicing all of the little things and making sure that you're doing every little thing right. And he has a very brutal drive to go to 6-0. 6-0 is based out of Castle Rock, and dude lives in Durango, right? So obviously that's not an easy trek, but he's dedicated. He stays dedicated. He's very positive as well, which I think is a contagious thing to have and a very important thing to have on the football field as well. Look, there's some people that, are more of the very vocal kind of, hey, we need to do this, this, and this, and get you fired up kind of leaders. There's the guys that talk to you and it's like, okay, look, on that last play, you did this, this, and this. They're the very calm, cool, collected kind of leaders. You have the lead by example kind of guy. And I think that Josh, much like his versatility at the line position, is very versatile in those facets as well. He's a guy who wears many hats, and, he's somebody who can, straighten you out if you need to be straightened out. I think he gets you to focus up, but he's also somebody where if you make a mistake, he's the kind of guy who's going to pick you up. He's going to say, hey, you got a chance to make up for that on the next drive. Relax. You're going to be all right. And so I think that, not only is he just a wonderful, fantastic recruit, as echoed by the highest grade in PMC history and being a 90-plus recruit, but he's somebody who I think you have to love as just a guy. He's a great dude. He's a great dude. And, I'm pretty sure he's a solid student as well. So, I'm very excited on a personal level to be able to root for Josh Bates and to, get to see him do his thing. Okay, yeah, this 247 has his weight at a 305. That
okay, so sense. Yeah, my bad. Size, go ahead and make it like a 9 point.
Yeah,
it's over.
I got 9.2.
That's fine.
I got 9.2, which as if he needed more points.
He's already the first one to be rated a 90 plus, so it's fine. We know he's a 5-star. That's all that matters, honestly.
I'm just gonna change yours to 9 because I just have to see what the final score is here. So 91.2, 91.4. That's 91.3.
Yeah.
And that's
I guess it'll
that's
matter
conservative
in the long
still.
run. Yeah, when we do our history. By the way, we'll probably be doing a Hall of Fame for PMC. We need to find a name other than just the PMC Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's something cool.
That's a really long acronym,
yeah.
PMCHOF.
But he is definitely someone who'd be first ballot, so along with probably Tucker Peterson too, to be honest with you. But yeah, just throwing that out there because 3A football is great. Love it. And yeah, look, y'all are getting you're just getting a great prospect, honestly.
Yes, sir.
He has the history, which you always love, when you look at prospects, it's like, oh, it's like an added plus when they come from a family that has, some NFL experience and whatnot. And, his dad having that experience has obviously helped him a lot as a player and how he's approached different decisions. And look, he is a really mature kid and I love his leadership. He's somebody that, he's a must get, for your team. And for a second, I thought maybe Coach Prime might be able to, turn him. But it was what it was, and it didn't quite work out there. So, just whoops, sorry. But he's going to Oklahoma. They have a good recruiting class. I love their quarterback, Jackson Arnold. In my opinion, he's the number one quarterback in the country. Look out for that film breakdown here soon. And that may or may not be received well, but that's just me. And so I think the future is very bright for OU. And I'm from Texas, I grew up rooting for the Longhorns, so it pains me to see it. But I respect great football, and I respect greatness, and that's what Bates is. He's had a very decorated career. He's played extremely well. He's gotten better. He didn't get complacent, and just be cool with, I'm committed to OU, so I'm out of here at the end of my senior or junior. No, every year was like, hey, we're trying to go back to state and win it. And they battled, in all the years since winning state, they have lost to a team that made it there. Either, I think it was a round short both times, right? Or maybe it was a round or two short both times, because they lost to Meade his junior year, and then they lost to Lutheran his senior year, which ironically both of them lost when they went to state. Still in a close, it wasn't like they got blown out. They would have contended with whoever they played as well, but it happens. That's football. That's how great 3A is, and he's been a part of a great tradition of 3A football and Durango football as well. And he won't be forgotten. Just an excellent football player and a great dude, honestly. There's not much I could really nitpick here at this point. I just kind of feel like, hey, go to college, man. Learn from those NFL level type of coaches, earn your spot, keep competing. Focus on OU first, potentially winning the Big 12/SEC, and then eventually getting a college football playoffs bid, which, I know they're expanding to, so I'm sure that'll come sooner than later, probably, right, Kodey?
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah. Like I said, I'm not an OU fan. Woo. I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite. So, if I'm buying into the hype, you probably should too. Also, just watch the film, too. If you know football, he's a ball player, and he's a must-have. So there you go. But
maybe the most football player of football players that I have seen in this state. Definitely in the conversation. Just through and through in every facet, that you can want.
Yes, for sure, in a good way. But But just to review here, talking about our top 5 interior offensive linemen here in Colorado in the class of 2023. At number 5, we have Erie's Jackson Clancy. At number 2, I'm an idiot. I went from 5 to 2. Oh my god. Should I keep that in?
Gotta save that for the... I was gonna say, gotta save it for the bloopers.
I'm sorry.
Keep it
At number 5, we have Erie's Jackson Clancy. At number 4, we have Pine Creek's Tanner Regis. At number 3, we have Valor Christian's Ty Barwin. At number 2, we have Cherry Creek's Hank Zelinskis. And then at number 1, we have Durango's very own Joshua Bates. So there you go there. Kodey, is there anything else you want to say here as we close up?
Well, congratulations to all these guys and everyone who is in consideration. There's a lot of, pedigree here. There's a lot of opportunity here. And, congratulations to every guy here, and whatever college gets you is still going to be lucky. But horns down, Boomer Sooner. We got to get back on this. Rip headphone users.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll be rooting for Bates, and I guess I'll be rooting for Sawchuk and, the Denson Geyer quarterback going there. Jackson Arnold, my bad. Film breakdown coming soon. But with all that being said, thank you so much for listening to us and for rocking with us. If you want to continue to support us, go ahead and follow us, like, subscribe, share. on social media at Playmakers Corner. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We'll be posting clips from these episodes along with the highlights of these great players so that you could see for yourself. As well as on YouTube, we'll be posting those TikToks as shorts at Playmakers Corner. And then also follow us / subscribe to us on Twitch. We'll be doing some live breakdowns and episodes here soon, especially with women's flag football just around the corner. We got some previews ready for all that great stuff as we turn the corner here. And go ahead and leave a good review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a good rating on Spotify. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much for rocking with us per usual. Congrats to all the athletes who have signed, made it official, found a home on the next level here since signing day has passed. And, you know, we got 2 more positions left, interior defensive tackles and then quarterbacks, which should be a good one. Both of them should be good ones, honestly, coming up next here. But yeah, I've been one of your co-hosts, Simon Villanos, aka Coach V.
And I have been your other co-host and annoying OU fan, Kodey Stoffer.
And we will catch you later.
Peace.